The lingering struggle for cash has caused a sharp decline in business activities, leading to steep reduction in output. With new orders and employment scaling down, February Purchasing Managers Index data released by Stanbic IBTC Bank showed that cash shortages across the country in the month of February might have a severe impact on private sector midway through the first quarter of the year. This is just as companies were also impacted by shortages of fuel, which compounded price pressures, leading to suppliers' delivery delays. The PMI is a measure of prevailing directions of economic trends in the manufacturing of services sector. Now let's focus on small businesses and what the cash crunch means to them and their businesses. Even as some ease seems to be returning, well, let's confirm if that is really happening. Mr. Sheye Olurotimi is the founder of MSME Africa. He's live in the studio to talk more about this. So Mr. Sheye Olurotimi is founder of MSME Africa. Thank you so much for your time. Apologies for that mix-up.
It's okay. Good afternoon. And it's good to be here again.
Great stuff. Thinking about this cash crunch thing, and we've looked at various angles around this, but really for small businesses, tell us what the experience has been like, and what you're hearing from others.
It's not been good. I mean, that's probably an understatement. I wish I could use bigger words to describe it, but we all know that the impact on the economy, especially on the small businesses, has been very devastating. Even though, like you said, there seems to be some ease, at least for the very first time in about 2 months, I was able to get some cash from the bank sometimes last week. And even at then, there was still a limit of 10,000. And when I got that 10,000 naira cash, I was like, is this really cash? Yeah. Because I remember the last 2 times I needed to get cash, I had to buy cash. I had to pay 12,000 to get 10,000 naira cash. And that was how bad it was. So looking at the micro, small, medium enterprises, I actually like the fact that the last guest touched on some things. I don't think it was well implemented in a way that it will have benefited the small players within the economy. We could have just looked at India as a reference point. The same thing happened in 2016, and we seem to have some level of similarity with regards to what the economy looks like in both countries. We have large numbers of players in the informal sector in Nigeria, just like we have in India. So let's throw around some figures. In Nigeria, we have 39.5 million MSMEs, according to the figure from Smidan. Yeah. But out of the 39.5, about 38 million fall within the nano and micro bracket, mainly within the informal sector. Guys who don't have bank accounts, guys who don't understand POS, who don't understand transfer. And out of the 39.5 that make up the MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises, now we have the nano and the micro that are about 38 million. So over 90% of that bracket are nano and micro, medium enterprises, and they are largely in the informal sector. And so they were locked out of the business transaction basically because of the policy. They were not able to transact. The woman that traveled from point A to point B to go and sell could not sell because people wanted to buy, but they don't have cash to transact business with them. So the impact has not been good. I really want to hope that with the fact that CBN has said, okay, banks should come collect old notes now, we are going to have some relief, but the impact is going to be around for some few months, I believe.
And funny enough, businesses had other issues to grapple with even before now.
Lots of them.
So adding this to it, it's like opening another page. So how has it been all the while when we have issue of fuel shortage in some cases, we have issue of supply delivery delays, raw materials in some cases, maybe that's for a little bit of bigger forex issues. So what kind of life is a small business owner living at the moment?
Sincerely, it's not been funny. I mean, I could look at it like as if you have somebody on the ground already, then you start trampling on them. People are grappling with the issue of petroleum scarcity and the rising cost, inflation and what have you, and you are bringing this. So I don't think the intent of the policy is actually bad because according to the CBN governor, when the policy was introduced in December, I think last year, he said they wanted to drive further cashless economy. They wanted to introduce the e-naira. They wanted to check kidnapping because those guys will ask for cash for ransom. They also wanted to control the currency in circulation because according to CBN, 85% of the currency in circulation is outside the banking system, which means that 85% of that cash is being ordered. So I know that they had good intentions, but the implementation was bad. They're looking at the structure of the economy.
Knowing that implementation failing has failed the policy. That's
it has
what it looks
failed.
to
That
me.
is it. So it has really failed. So whatever benefit is meant to accrue to every player in the economy has been lost. And the ones that are feeling the pangs the most are the small players within the economy, because they don't have the wherewithal to actually move on to what other people moved on to. The cashless economy, transfers, online banking and whatever. Those guys don't have those, the benefit. I mean, are you going to tell the farmer somewhere in the Benue State, another farmer somewhere in the interland in Bayelsa State that you want to do transfers to them? They don't understand those languages. And it has also shown us that we don't even have the infrastructure for online banking.
For online banking, we don't have that
because the transactions
capacity.
were failing. So we don't have if this is a means of feedback for CBN, I think it should tell them that we don't have the backbone, the infrastructure yet. Because of the increased level of transaction, you could see a lot of failed transactions. Some people are still trying to get dispense error reversed up till today after so many weeks. So we are not there yet. Even if you drive in error, the major beneficiaries are the ones who actually are learning, not the micro players who don't know what it means to do that. They are the ones suffering the most. They are the ones who could not do transactions. They are also the ones whose staff could not come to work.
What more can we do to bring small businesses into this next? How can we, encourage them to adopt technology? Because, like you said, with failed transactions, nobody will be encouraged to even tap into technology.
We need to do a lot of reorientation.
Yes.
Because this actually works in East Africa. It works if you go to Nairobi, even the bus conductor, M-Pesa works. So it can work in Nigeria. And I don't think we are laggards. I don't think I just think we love to put the horse before the cart. Or how do you say it now?
Yeah, you're correct.
So we need to always put the right things in front. We need to do a lot of orientation, a lot of empowering. We need to send people down to the interlands and get them to put up the structure that will make these things work and give enough time for people to adopt it. You don't force it. You need to give them enough time until you are comfortable that these people have actually adopted it, and we can now move on to the next phase. So financial inclusion is not a 100 meters dash. No, it's a marathon. It has to be implemented in phases. And you need to see evidence that this thing can work before you introduce the next level. So people need to have the right orientation. We need to go all out and inform them that this is what we're planning to do. And we have phased it out over a period of 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And this is what should happen at each particular stage. We need to monitor and ensure that the things that are meant to happen at each stage happens before we now say we want to enforce some things.
In fact, I'm one of those that believe in the fact that without small businesses, without encouraging small businesses, no economy can grow, as you remain the engine room of any economy. And, at this time, everyone is setting an agenda, preparing for the president-elect and, for a new administration. Now, for small businesses, what are the quick wins for you guys? Because I see an economy where you guys should be running basically a major percentage of Nigeria's economy, because small businesses can create those kind of jobs that we need. Government cannot create those kind of jobs.
They're actually doing it already. So we have the figures everywhere. Micro, small, and medium enterprises contribute close to 50% to the GDP of the country.
Government can't do that.
And they are responsible for close to 80% of employment. The figures are there. So if you know that these guys are important, then the policies that the next administration should put in place should be such that will encourage these guys, paying attention particularly to the nano and the micro guys. A lot of time, like I always complain every time I have platforms like this, is to say that whenever we design policies for MSMEs, we always focus on the small and the medium. The medium guys are the ones doing between 10 and 100 million, and the the small guys, and the medium guys are the ones doing between 100 and 1 billion naira. But the guys that are doing less than 25 million, what are we doing to them? What are we doing to those guys? We need to put up policies to capture them where they are, and to show and understand that this guy largely play in the informal sector. And so design programs that can capture them and provide palliatives for them, because these guys have actually gone through a lot. So the government, if they can tap into this, empower them, it will be to the benefit of the economy in the long run. So it's not really so much of doing the MSMEs a favor. It's actually doing the economy a favor, because they are contributing close to 50% to the GDP. And this cash crunch, I listened to some analysts. The country is losing close to 20 trillion because of it. And then according to, I think one of the economists, it says the GDP is, I mean, we are shrinking in GDP by as much as $18 million every month because of this.
The negative impact.
So the impact on the GDP is so much, we need to actually empower the micro guys, the small guys, the medium enterprises to actually drive the economy by providing for them the infrastructure, the technology, the know-how, and the incentives that will make them want to drive the economy instead of thinking of jetting out. You know, the jackpot syndrome, everybody wants to run out. So we need to encourage them.
Let's talk about the support. How's the support been? I know before now we've talked about this and saying support comes from, before now we used to hear the likes of BOIs, the likes of banks wanting to support, development banks wanting to support small businesses. But I don't know, some will even say that some of the sectors, they even term them as risky at the moment. So yes, how well are you guys getting support from all of the development finance institutions?
So the support comes, but like I already mentioned, sometimes we target the people at the higher rung of the ladder.
Don't look at those guys.
You don't look at those guys there. So, or sometimes even when you seem to capture them, what you're asking for is not what they can provide. You're asking them for some financial records. You're asking them for some criteria they won't be able to meet. And so it does seem like the guys at the top, the medium-sized guys, are the ones that are favored. And before you know it, they jump into the other sector. So the policies, the incentives, whatever we are trying to do, the interventions should actually be so that can go down to the lowest rung of the ladder and ensure that these guys can benefit. We need to bend over backward for them and capture their particular interest in all these interventions. And just like we also know, we don't do a lot around monitoring and evaluation. We say we had a lot of intervention during COVID. But did we measure to say these were the number of people we were able to help? This is the impact. But we just get so carried away about talking about the interventions, but we don't get to see the numbers around the impact at the end of the day. So we need to do a lot of monitoring, evaluation, impact reports so that we can know what works and stick with them, know what does not work. Either you leave them or you redesign them. I think that would work.
So all things being equal, what are you thinking? What is your projection for small businesses? Yes, considering the nano and all of them now, what is your projection? Say business as usual, economy comes back to normal, cash is available, environment is better. PEBEC came up with a report recently, again, looking at states. PEBEC. You know? Yeah, they were looking at states.
The ease of doing
business thing. You know, all of that should impact small businesses. So what is your outlook with regards
to that report, particular report, I mean, when I saw it, I saw states like Gombe leading the pack with regards to ease of doing business, and you saw Lagos that everybody expects. So I think I wish I have a crystal ball, really, because there are a lot of uncertainties around. So, but looking at, like I always say, especially on this show, I'm an optimist. So I really want to believe that the next administration would actually do its own work well and understand that this sector needs a lot of intervention. And I really believe that. Also, they also want to also appeal to the people through their programs. So I believe that the MSMEs would actually thrive, provided that the next administration takes into cognizance their peculiarity. I also want to believe that the relative success of the startups would rub off on the traditional MSMEs because those guys are relatively more successful. And I see a lot of traditional MSMEs gravitating towards becoming startups. They are driving their business with technology. They are scaling. So that rubbing off on them would actually impact on them positively. But we need enabling environment. We need well thought out and well implemented policies. If we have all of that in place, I believe with some other interventions, increase in knowledge, I think the MSMEs will thrive because Nigerians are a very resilient set of people, especially the entrepreneurs in Nigeria.
Indeed, I agree. I agree to that. Mr. Sheye Oluwarotimi, thank you. So Oluwarotimi, thank you so much. Founder, MSME Africa. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well.